All right, and we back on the forecast. So in Clearwater, Florida, a brother was murdered by a white man, a civilian, Michael Drejka, after he initiated the altercation over a parking spot. So let's see what it takes for a regular civilian that's not even a cop to be able to get away with murder.
Well, that was my high school sweetheart, and it hurt so bad.
For Brittany Jacobs, there are no words that will ease her pain after losing the love of her life and the father of her children outside this Florida convenience store. Her boyfriend, 28-year-old Markeis Mcglockton, was shot and killed by this man, who says he fired his gun in self-defense.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want? It down!
The shooting has lit up the streets.
The confrontation between the two men turned into a shooting.
Stand your ground, it's got to go!
Testing the stand your ground law.
And poured gas on the fiery debate over controversial stand your ground laws.
Justice! Now!
It was around 3:30, so that's a busy time, people getting off of work.
Jacobs says she and her boyfriend needed something at the convenience store Thursday afternoon. The store's security cameras were recording it all.
I'm going with the first parking space around this time, which was a handicapped parking spot. My man Markeis gets out, and my son Markeis Jr. get out, and they go in the store. I'm sitting in the car with a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old.
After about 20 minutes, she says she sees a silver Jeep pull around, and then this man, Michael Drejka, steps out and walks around her car.
I'm feeling scared around this time because I don't know this man. He goes to the front of my car. He's saying that I'm parked in a handicapped spot, which I'm clearly very aware of.
They start exchanging words. It gets angry.
This man is now yelling at me and telling me to move my effing car. Markeis comes out, pushes the man and telling him to get away from his girl. Markeis steps back because now Markeis is endangered.
The man he just pushed pulls a gun from his pocket, and in a flash, he pulls the trigger.
Everybody by this time is panicking.
Her boyfriend stumbles back into the store. Their 5-year-old son is watching his father die. Markeis Mcglockton is pronounced dead at the hospital.
It's a memory that's always going to be with my 5-year-old. My 3 kids will be without a father.
She says what happened the next day blew her mind. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Department announced that it was not charging or arresting Michael Drejka.
Under these circumstances, we cannot make an arrest.
Police say that he was standing his ground.
The law on stand your ground is clear, and the Florida legislature has spoken on this.
The law is extremely subjective. If they believe reasonably that they are in harm's way, they can use force and even deadly force to protect themselves.
Brittany Jacobs says her boyfriend was defending her.
Who, as a real man, will see another man arguing with his girl? Like, who wouldn't stand up and defend their lady?
There are reports that this isn't Drejka's first time getting into an argument over a parking space.
Just to argue, just to find someone to argue with?
The owner of the convenience store says he had to call the police a month ago after Drejka got into a shouting match with this man.
Out here, he said he'll shoot me, call me and stuff like that. So, I think it's a racial issue.
But police say the history doesn't matter.
So what's relevant is not whether this guy's a good guy, nice guy, or whether he's a jerk. What's relevant was he in fear of further bodily harm.
I think stand your ground laws have become controversial. If the police believe that there is probable cause that someone used the stand your ground law, they can't make an arrest.
In 2005, Florida was the first state to put stand your ground laws on the books, and since then, more than 33 states have passed similar laws. People who support them say they allow homeowners, for example, to protect themselves from robbers and other criminals.
I've just been broken into. 3 men, 2 have shot in my house.
It's what happened in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma last year.
Are they bleeding?
Yes, I believe one's down, one's still talking. You need to get here now.
That's 23-year-old Zach Peters on the line, locked inside his bedroom after shooting at the 3 teenagers who broke into his home.
Okay, what did you shoot them with?
They were 15.
Okay.
All 3 of the teens died. Peters was not charged with a crime.
It is the opinion of this office that Zachary Peters acted justifiably and in accordance with his rights as an Oklahoma citizen when he used deadly force to defend his home.
Attorney Gerald Griggs says in his experience, race matters in who can use these self-defense laws. White defendants, yes. Black defendants, not so much, he says. Do you think the law is useful?
I think in certain cases it's useful, but I think in certain cases the effect is discriminatory.
So should it be on the books?
You know, I've always been a proponent of self-defense. I believe in self-defense, but I believe that self-defense should apply in all communities regardless of race or ethnic background, sexual orientation.
He feels police shouldn't be making the call, that each shooter should initially be arrested.
A large majority of the cases against African Americans are not resolved appropriately.
But saying you were standing your ground doesn't automatically mean the shooter avoids prosecution. Just ask Curtis Reeves.
What did you do with that pistol?
I shot him.
In 2014, the 75-year-old retired police officer shot and killed 43-year-old Chad Olson during an argument at this Florida movie theater.
Why did you shoot him?
At that point, it was his life or mine.
The two were arguing because Olson was using his cell phone during the previews of the movie. In court, Reeves said he fired in self-defense and said he felt threatened for his life because Olson was younger and taller.
He was getting ready to punch me, and I perceived that at some point, and that's when the pistol came out.
But at a pretrial hearing, the judge wasn't buying it, saying Reeves was anything but afraid. Olson's wife, Nicole, who was sitting next to him, says her husband was using the phone to reach their babysitter.
Can nobody in the world stand up in a movie theater without having to fear that they are in jeopardy of losing their life?
She was shot in the hand by the bullet that killed her husband. Reeves goes on trial for second-degree murder this February. In Pinellas County, Florida, the state attorney will now investigate the case.
There's no way this man should be out free, walking around still armed.
Brittany Jacobs knows that no court can bring back the father of her children, but she's hoping it will bring them justice.
I just want justice. I need something to be done because this is not right. Something should have been done about this a long, long time ago. It shouldn't have to happen, for a man to, pass away in front of his child.
So this guy, Michael Drejka, approached Markeis Mcglockton's wife, most likely because he saw it was a woman by herself with two small children and looked like an easy target. So this brother comes out of the store and sees what's happening. And he does what he's supposed to do, which is go protect his family. Which it was a good thing he was there because this man was actually armed. It's no telling what he would have did to this woman or their children. And this is why as black men and women, we need to put our issues to the side right now. Because they are approaching us. They are harming our children. And this is not the first time this guy, Michael Drejka, went around picking fights over parking spots. He must walk around armed looking for an opportunity to kill a black person. He starts a fight and then claims self-defense. And more people than you realize feel this way. They go around picking fights with black people and are armed and are looking for an excuse to get away with murdering a black person. That has been America's pastime. The only difference between now and back then is they have to find a way to claim self-defense. This man, Michael Drejka, is more worried about the parking lot at a gas station than the owner of the store. Even the owner called the police on this man before. The police chief, Bob Gualteri, says his past doesn't matter, his history doesn't matter. All that matters is if he felt threatened. But if he felt so threatened, why go around starting fights with people? Meanwhile, they bring up a parking ticket you had 12 years ago. The only history that doesn't matter or that shouldn't be brought up is their violent history. And the very next day, the police chief says there's nothing he can do or will do about it. I guess it only takes him 24 hours to investigate a murder. They said the man who started the fight feared for his life, and he needed to defend himself, and it falls under the stand your ground law.
That's for his kids, and he didn't have to go like this, man. He didn't have to go like this.
Friends and family of Markeis Mcglockton speak out and ask for charges to be filed against the man who killed him.
This story is sparking a national debate. A fight over a parking spot at a Clearwater convenience store ends with Mcglockton shot and killed.
The shooter, Michael Drejka, says his life was in danger and he had no choice. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office is not pressing charges. They say Florida's Stand Your Ground law applies because Mcglockton pushed him to the ground. Even though the sheriff's office did not charge Drejka, the final decision will be made by the Pinellas County State Attorney's Office.
Less than an hour ago, Mcglockton's family spoke at a church in Clearwater. 10 News reporter Grady Trimble is there live now. Grady, what did the family have to say?
Well, Allison, Mcglockton's attorneys say everyone around the world now has seen how Markeis Mcglockton died. Today at this press conference, it was all about showing how he lived. They remember him as a loving father, a husband, a son who cared deeply about his kids. They say the video of the shooting that people all over the world have seen at this point speaks for itself, that the man who shot Mcglockton is now walking free and, as they put it, standing behind and hiding behind the Stand Your Ground law. Mcglockton's family has hired attorneys. They've launched their own investigation into the shooting, and they hope to uncover more details that will lead to a charge against Michael Drejka.
A 5-year-old witnessed this whole thing.
Yes.
A 5-year-old. 5, not 12 years old, not 13, but a 5 years old. You know, this is messed up.
This type of stuff has been going on for way too long. Far too long. We need to put an end to this. Any kind of law that allows one man to kill another man, and the man that pulled the trigger don't even get fingerprinted, needs to stop. Something needs to be done.
The lawyers are urging people in the community to reach out to the state attorney's office and urge them to press charges against Drejka. The attorney says it could be months before any of those charges are filed, but they say they're in it for the long haul.
This guy shot and killed his brother in front of his wife and his children. He collapsed in front of his 5-year-old son. Do you know how that's going to affect him for the rest of his life? This is why we can't let this keep happening. And people are putting this on the Stand Your Ground law. But it's not about that. The law doesn't really matter in situations like this. They can kill you in any state in America and say they fear for their lives, and it was self-defense. Whether that state has Stand Your Ground laws or not. In Florida, you have women like Aramis Ayala, the first black state attorney. They took all of her cases away from her and tried to get her out of office that she was voted in. All because she's against the death penalty. Not just the death penalty for black people, but the death penalty for everybody. And this black woman has been getting death threats for a while. But as a community, those are the times we need to be supporting our lawmakers and our politicians. When one of our own risks themselves for the betterment of us all, that's when we need to have their back. We need to do better supporting the people who risk their lives, who risk their careers, like this woman Aramis Ayala, or the Judge Olu Stevens, or people like Kaepernick. When they were trying to come at Aramis Ayala and discredit her, that was the time to march and to stand up and protest. When they shed our blood on the street, it's too late. And right now, they are trying to provoke us. We are the ones that need to use these Stand Your Ground laws, especially if you're in a state with a Stand Your Ground law. Make sure you exercise it and protect your family and protect yourself. And I know it's up to the police and the government discretion, and most likely their Stand Your Ground laws won't protect you, but they'll think twice about coming to start a fight with you or coming to try to harm you if they know there's a good chance they won't make it back. The police will think twice before they walk into a crowd that's armed and ready and willing to protect each other. They won't be so quick to harm somebody or violate somebody's human rights. But at this point, they're trying to provoke us. That's why in this case, they bring up Stand Your Ground, but then turn around and reopen the Emmitt Till case, just to add insult to injury.
The Justice Department confirmed today it has reopened the investigation into the 1955 murder of Emmitt Till. The African-American teenager was abducted, beaten, and thrown off a Mississippi bridge. When the nation saw what was done to him, the wheels of the civil rights movement were set into motion. We do caution you, our report begins with a disturbing image that has been seared into America's conscience. Here's Jim Axelrod.
It was the picture that stunned the nation and sparked a movement. 1955, 14-year-old Emmitt Till in his casket, left open at the direction of his mother, Mamie.
There's no way I could tell this story and give them the visual picture of what my son looked like.
Emmitt Till was killed after this woman, then 21-year-old Carolyn Dunham, said he'd made sexual advances toward her. The woman's then husband and his half-brother were tried and acquitted in less than an hour by an all-white jury in Mississippi. But the Justice Department now confirms the case has been reopened based upon the discovery of new information, going no further since it's an active investigation.
It is the most infamous civil rights case in the history of this country.
But in his book last year, author Tim Tyson reported Donham spoke to him 10 years ago and admitted she hadn't told the truth about Emmitt in 1955. Tyson says the FBI then reached out.
The result of this is the truth about what happened to Emmitt Till and the way that that speaks to the predicaments that we are wrestling with today and that we will be wrestling with for generations to come.
63 years after Emmitt Till was abducted, murdered, his body mutilated. The question tonight, has justice long been delayed, or will it once again be denied? Till's cousin, Deborah Watts, runs the Emmitt Till Legacy Foundation.
If this case gets solved and justice prevails, our country has an opportunity to heal.
Donham is alive and living in Raleigh, North Carolina. She'll turn 84 later this month. A family member turned away a reporter after the news broke, saying, "We don't want to talk to you."
Now, 60 years later, they want to reopen the case. But the men who killed them and admitted to killing them have been dead for a long time. And even if they were alive, they couldn't charge them anyway because that's double jeopardy. And the FBI is talking about new information. Everybody knew that white woman lied for decades now. And they didn't say anything to or about her for 60 years. And that woman, Carolyn Bryant, needs to be arrested and charged and spend whatever left of her life in jail. But the police still aren't going to do anything about it. They are doing this for political reasons because our lives are nothing but politics to them. In the Emmitt Till case, it took the jury 1 hour to say these white men were innocent. With this brother Markeis Mcglockton, it took the police 24 hours to say this white man was innocent. And in 1955, people marched and protested about Emmitt Till. And today, we're still protesting and marching about Markeis Mcglockton and so many other people. At some point, the marching and protesting has got to stop, and we have got to start standing our own ground.
A new challenge for State Attorney Aramis Ayala.
In just hours, she's going to discuss changes to handling death penalty cases, but already we're hearing it may not be enough. News 6 reporter Eric Sandoval is here with reaction from Governor Scott's office tonight. So, Eric, this is all regarding her new panel, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, Governor Rick Scott has actually taken away 30 cases from Aramis Ayala. And tonight, we asked the governor's office, is she going to get any of these cases back? And they told us not quite yet. They said first she needs to publicly change her position on the death penalty. Governor Rick Scott's office says they will be watching a news conference called by State Attorney Aramis Ayala for tomorrow morning. Her staff tells News 6 tonight that she's ready to take questions about a new panel of prosecutors that she says will decide if a case warrants the death penalty. The governor says he wants to see her publicly come out and say the death penalty is back.
It's very important that we think about the families, we think about the victims, we make sure that we stand for justice.
Under my administration, I will not be seeking death penalty.
It was this announcement in March that resulted in the governor reassigning nearly 30 cases to another state attorney's office. Today, the Florida Supreme Court ruled the governor was well within his power to do it.
Today was definitely a glorious day.
Rafael Zaldivar applauded the decision. His son Alex was murdered in 2012. His convicted killer, Besman Okafor, could be sentenced to death. Zaldivar says he has his doubts Ayala will actually change her mind. In fact, when we tweeted the announcement of the news conference this afternoon, Zaldivar responded to us, saying he will be there.
If the case merits the death penalty, so be it. It's not complicated.
And, you know, there were a lot of other people that tweeted us tonight about Ayala, many of them calling for her resignation. Once again, her news conference is set for 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, and of course, we will be there, guys.
Certainly not the end of this controversy by any stretch.
Definitely not.
You do know it's none of your damn business, right?
Oh, it's my business.
How is it your business?
Because I paid my taxes.
I don't give a damn. You ain't paid for these fucking food stamps.
We're gonna build this wall. We're gonna build this wall.
Why you worried about what's in my motherfucking basket?
Because I
Why
paid
you
my
in my
taxes.
fucking phone conversation every year? You can
But
call the police.
I do
Man,
know it's
why the
illegal,
fuck you
so
in my
it is
business?
It is my business.
Mind the business that pay you. You ain't worried about what's in my business. Don't pay you. What? The fuck type of time she out of my mouth? She in my whole last conversation.
Did I swear at you?
I didn't swear at you.
You just swore.
You heard me wrong.
You're lying.
You're lying.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit right here.
Okay.
With you.
You sit right there.
You are a sweetheart. I'm sorry that we're arguing with your mom. She's not being very nice.
Are you just mad because I won't get off my own property? I think that's why you're mad right now.
I don't care.
Okay,
If
so
it's
go
your
back
property-
upstairs to your kids. Like, why are you sitting here with me?
I'm sitting here because you're preventing my children from sleeping. Do you like me to take it to you?
Who's even watching your kids right now? Are you? Because you're not. You're here with me and my kid.
Are you in one of the affordable units? Or are you in one of the Harvard units?
Mind your business.
I live here. This is my business.
Okay,
this is
good.
my home.
Okay, so sit with me. But it's none of your business where I live, what my name is. No, actually it really
When you're
isn't.
disturbing the whole
Actually, it really
family.
isn't. No, because you're the only one down here right now. There's nobody else out here saying that we, are starting trouble. So,
I'm not saying you shut up. I'm asking you nicely.
okay, but I'm not going anywhere, ma'am. I live here. My kid is not doing anything wrong. Why should I leave?
Which unit do you live in?
It's none of your business.
Actually, it is because I will
It's
come outside
not.
your window and scream.
Okay.
You're outside mine.
Okay. Now, excuse me while I go tend to my kid, because you're obviously not.
I drive by and it smells like goddamn weed in your fucking
Who
house.
cares?
That's why the cops are coming right now, motherfucker.
Who gives a
Hurry,
fuck?
Boy, I'm gonna get you, nigga. Fuck.
You hear that? You see that shit? You see that? Get this fucking license plate. I'm gonna find this motherfucking cracker. Find this motherfucker. You don't know who I am.
Take your picture. Take your picture. I'm calling you a nigger too. Yeah. Smile, nigga. Smile, nigga.
Yep.
You're harassing me. Put it on the tape, okay? Okay, nigga? Nigga boy. Yeah, keep taking my picture. Keep harassing me, okay?
All right.
Go ahead. Wow. Put it on tape that you can't drive. You cut people off. Make sure you show that to the cop, you stupid nigga.
It absolutely is a bad look for Milwaukee.
It was the applause heard round the world Saturday when Milwaukee Brewers pitcher Josh Hader returned to the game.
Baseball player Josh Hader took the mound for the Brewers Saturday night, his first appearance since the All-Star break, and him being caught posting racist tweets as a teenager in 2011 and 2012. Unfortunately, he was giving a standing ovation by a white crowd before he even pitched. Sports critics and fans alike can't help but assume they were cheering him on for his questionable tweets.
Critics from all over the country quick to question fans who supported Hader after his derogatory tweets and subsequent apology. Among them, Milwaukee Alderman Khalif Rainey, who said in a statement tonight, quote, "This frankly is an embarrassment to the world. The boisterous manner of standing to show support for Hader is nothing less than a dismissive stance against problems of race affecting an entire community."
Embarrassing for the fans to stand up. I wouldn't stand up in that situation, but if maybe I don't know what their personal reasons are for standing up. Maybe it's for a guy admitting that he was wrong and apologizing.
Fans we talked to at tonight's game seemed to give Hader and the fans the benefit of the doubt.
Well, you have to know what they were standing up for, and I think they recognize that people make mistakes. Mistakes are forgivable.
In his statement, Rainey also said the cheers for Hader ignore the issues NFL players are highlighting with their silent protest, saying, quote, "Although it seems cynical, I cannot help but think it comes down to skin color. Fans think it starts a conversation."
Forces people to come out and say, you know what, this is not appropriate. This is not the way this city wants to be represented. This is not the way this team wants to be represented.
I was 17 years old, and as a child, I was immature, and I obviously said some things that were inexcusable. That doesn't reflect on who I am as a person today, and that's just what it is.
Africa won the World Cup. Africa won the World Cup. Africa won the World Cup. They have to say it's the French team, but look at those guys, huh? You don't get that tan by hanging out in the south of France, my friends. The rich and various backgrounds of these players is a reflection of France's diversity. Now, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I think it's more a reflection of France's colonialism. I understand what the ambassador is saying. In France, a lot of Nazis use the fact that these players are of African descent to on their Frenchness, So they go, you're not French. You're from Africa. Go back to where you came from. When I'm saying they're African, I'm not saying it as a way to exclude them from their Frenchness, but I'm rather using it to include them in my Africanness. France does not refer to its citizens based on their race, religion, or origin. To us, there is no hyphenated identity. America's not a perfect country, but what I love about this place is that people can still celebrate their identity in their Americanness. I watch what politicians say, especially in France, about African migrants. When they are unemployed, when they may commit a crime, or when they are considered unsavory, it's the African immigrants. When their children go on to provide a World Cup victory for France, we should only refer to them as France. I will continue to praise them for being African because I believe that they are of Africa, their parents are from Africa, and they can be French at the same time. There were jump cuts, multiple outfits, different sets.
I'm trying to talk about Iran. I'm trying to talk about Valerie Jarrett wrote the Iran deal.
I know, but you've told me this 300 times. Do you know that if...
That's what my tweet was about.
I know. You've explained this literally 300 times.
I thought the bitch was white! God damn it! I thought the bitch was white! Fuck!
This is her comeback? Seriously? Roseanne Barr launches an ear-piercing tirade as she attempts to explain the racist tweet that got her fired. The disgraced comedian